and so do some unwelcome guests. This morning we're talking about ticks. Those tiny pests can pose some serious health risks to both humans and our furry friends. So today we are joined by Dr. Melisa Nolan, an epidemiologist from the University of South Carolina, talking about how to protect yourself, your pets, and the latest on the tick-borne illnesses, what signs we got to look out for this season, because it's tick season right now, right, Dr. Nolan?
Unfortunately, yes. The ticks are already pretty active. We're starting to pick up. And so during the summertime, we tend to see adults, and we're going to see the larvae. There's really, really small ones that you don't even think about. And so these guys, what happens is you'll hit what's called a larval bomb. And so the way that ticks reproduce, the mom makes hundreds of eggs because not all of them will survive. So when you walk across one of these, you could get hundreds of these little guys, and they're teeny tiny.
Yeah, so this is an example right over here. You can barely see it, you guys, like on the screen. So that's as small as they can get?
Think about the size of a mustard seed. That's how small they can get.
Really?
And they can actually transmit disease. So it is a big concern. But it's a little bit of a trade-off. Because they're so teeny tiny, it's hard for them to physically crawl up on a human.
Okay.
So you might be more likely to find those on your cat. But the adults, on the other hand, they're a little bit bigger, so it's easier for them to crawl up on a human, and so you might be more likely to find them.
Wow. Okay, well, speaking of big, I'm going to hand this to you. I'm not touching it, you guys. So that's how big it can get?
It's about the size of a grape, yeah. So this
That's
is an
huge.
example of a female that's fully engorged.
Whew. Okay.
And then in comparison, this would be a female that has not yet blood fed. So she was just trying to start to find a host.
Okay, just starting to try to find one. So for us, when we're out and about, when we're hiking, we're just going outside, what are just some basic things that we need to do to protect ourselves?
Wonderful question. I think the first thing is to always wear socks if you're going to be in a really wooded area.
Okay.
So most ticks in general like to be around leaf foliage. So think about a beautiful trail, you know, you want to try and stay in the middle of it, try not to be on the edges.
Okay.
Other things you can do that are really simple. We know DEET works really well.
Yeah, talk about these two. This is an interesting one here.
Yeah, so DEET is great not just for ticks, but also mosquitoes. At South Carolina, we have those as well.
Right.
But I appreciate not everyone wants to wear DEET, or, you know, as a mom myself, I might not always want to put that on my kids. So a great option is permethrin, which you can see here.
This one.
You spray that one time on your clothes, let it dry, and it's good for up to 50 washes.
Wow.
And this is cheap. It's $10 at Walmart.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our furry friends, what we need to do for them.
So it's always great and advised to give your animals anti-tick medication, but it is important to do tick checks on them as well. So the way that that medication works, it doesn't actually stop the tick from biting them. The ticks will crawl up on your dog, and then they'll start to take a blood meal, and then what happens is they realize, ooh, we don't like the taste of that, and so then they jump off and they look for someone else. But unfortunately, by that point, you know, you're back from your walk, so you're inside.
Right.
And so make sure not only looking for on your dog for a tick that could be crawling around, but even within the areas that they like to be. So my dog loves to be in my bed, so then I have to check my bed to make sure.
Right.
You know,
okay. So
or
just
the couch. Or
certain things that you have to just go ahead and check for, especially when you come back from a hike or just being outside for a long period of time.
Yep. Because especially if you have a dog that's going to be going off the trail.
Yeah.
So we know there's actually more ticks the further off the trail you get. And so that's why, again, we really encourage you to try and stay in the middle of that to mitigate your risk.
And then the last thing I want to do is, what do you do when you do find a tick? There's like a specific procedure on how to take it off.
Absolutely. The first thing is don't freak out.
Okay.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, all right, got it.
And it's important to note that where ticks like to be are warm spots. So you're most likely going to pick them up somewhere along your feet because they're on the ground. And so then they're going to crawl up. If you don't have socks on, they could be right around your ankles, or they like to be around your belt line, you know, those nice warm areas, or even under your armpits as well sometimes. So if you find it, the first thing you want to do is to try and take tweezers right at the base where that tick is attached and just pull up. What you don't want to do is squeeze it so that its mouthpieces go into your skin. You want to try to get up and away.
Okay.
The other thing that's really important to do then too is just wash that area with soap and water.
Okay.
So a lot of these tick-borne diseases are bacteria, and so just simply washing with regular hand soap can help get rid of that bacteria at the site.
There you go. Nice and easy things that you can do to make sure that you're safe.
Very simple.
Yeah. Dr. Nolan, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you. We're going to be putting all of these tips on our website, WLTX.com, so you can always refer back to it before you head outside to enjoy that South Carolina heat, because it's going to be hot out there.